Seems like a lot of familiar faces in the room, so I won't go into the background of Station. I'm Grace Rodriguez, co-founder of Station Houston, and we have a wonderful panel of directors and regional management from Houston Community College who are here to share the programs and how they're helping prepare Houston's workforce for the future. Doug, would you like to start and introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Doug Rolette, and I'm the Dean of Digital and Information Technology, which is a workforce program at Houston Community College. We do digital gaming and simulation, GIS, computer science, networking, and programming.
Hi, I'm Kathy Landry. I'm the Executive Director of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. We provide a grant-based free scholarship to those businesses that qualify and are ready to move their business to the next level.
My name is Ravi Brambet. I'm the Director for Student Innovation and Entrepreneurship out of the Entrepreneurial Initiatives Office at District. And my job really is trying to instill the entrepreneurial culture in our students, our faculty, and pretty much just find those ecosystems, connect them with our school, and move people forward. So our school goal is really start here, go anywhere. So we want to make sure that we have pathways lined up for them.
I'm Jim Livesey. I'm the Regional Manager for Campus Technology Services for the central region of HCC. And my job is pretty simple. I just make sure that the technology is up to date and running and meets the needs of our students in the future.
Thank you. And thank you for being here with us today. So Jim, I wanted to start with you. In the panel previously, we were talking about infrastructure and how people can think about urban planning for the city, how they build. How has HCC thought about how it's building and the new infrastructure that's coming in place at the different campuses around town?
We work with community leaders. We really do. Every program that we have that's a workforce dedicated program actually has an advisory board. And we work with our advisory boards, and we work with community leaders, and we look at what the industry's doing. Building buildings and staffing them and putting the infrastructure in that's needed. It's a lot of work, and it takes up a lot of capital. I mean, it just does. And the lead time is sometimes up to 10 years of getting a building and a program up and running. So it has to be a lot of feedback. We've just put in, we've just have a substantial completion coming up on the new Coleman Health Science Building, which is going to expand what we're able to do in that industry. We've got 2 workforce buildings that have just come online. One is for what's called advanced manufacturing, which is really this kind of new high-end skills set of manufacturing that is really nice because it's going to be able to bring a lot of manufacturing back into the local region that may have been shipped out before. We're really pushing on a lot of workforce skills and the technology that goes in that. The way that we used to work industry-wide is not the same as we did 10 years ago. And we have to be current with that, and we have to be a little ahead of that.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about some of the tools, I guess, that people will be able to have access to through the advanced manufacturing resources?
The advanced manufacturing is really a lot of fun. We've got state-of-the-art CNC machines, we've got lathes, we've got an entire room that we call a fab lab, and it has 3D printers, all computerized tools, laser cutters. We have the ability to take a design and print it in a prototype printer, very quick, very efficient, very fast, and take that all the way up, refine it, and take it all the way up to a production model. Mm-hmm. And these are resources that if somebody was working on a project or they need assistance on a project, that these are resources that can be they're designed to be worked with the community. Mm-hmm. They're student use, but at the same time, these are resources that our students need practical examples of how to work too. And that's really where it comes down to, is that from an industry standpoint, almost any industry that we have, HCC is a valuable asset because our students need real work examples. We have interns, we have people that need to be placed in situations, and we have tools that they need projects to use. Mm-hmm. So.
Thank you. And so speaking of working with the community, Ravi, can you talk to us about some of the programs that you're doing that integrate Houston Community College with the community?
Yes, so what Jim said, we have all these fantastic state-of-the-art buildings that are going up that came through like bonds that the taxpayer have paid for. And we have a tremendous amount of real estate in the city, a great amount of presence. We're a very convenient college. So some of the things that my goals is to attract that community to come check out what's happening on the campus. So we've done numerous amount of programs. We've done hackathons with high school students called Inventathon. That's a 2-day program where we get really smart high school students from Fort Bend, from HISD, and so on and so forth. We get them, AP and IB students, and we say, hey, you guys are smart, come solve a problem. And then we announce a problem on Saturday. They work on it all day till night. They won't leave, and we'll have to kick them out, unfortunately. And then next day they come back, and then they'll create, solutions, and they'll present them on Sunday night. So that's one example of a program that we've started, and we're really proud of that Inventathon program. We offer a different type of program called opportunity workshops, in which we've partnered with the HCC libraries, and these tend to be 2-hour workshops open to the public. Just come and learn some 21st century skill set. So you can come and learn about, how do I really make my LinkedIn effective? We'll ask a community person who's well known on LinkedIn to come in and say, what do you do that makes your profile so awesome on LinkedIn? So he comes out and he does this talk. It's a 2-hour, and it's open to the public, free of charge. It's on Eventbrite, and anyone can come. And we've had a lot of success with that. We've attracted a lot of students, but as well, a lot of small businesses. In addition to that, we've also been hosting summits where, we've had a cybersecurity summit, which Dr. Roulette can talk to more. But we try to do, things that we know that the small business community needs. That is, where else can we go other than YouTube trying to find it? I mean, it's always great to have some sort of an instructor-led or a panel or someone talking about it rather than just sort of a a monologue from a YouTube to a user. Of course, YouTube's great, but it always helps. When you find that community, you could do more. So my goal really becomes, how do we do more of that? And how do we get partnerships with groups like Station? And how do we connect those resources together? So that's really where I think I'm trying to sort of make a little change here, is to get people to use the resources that Jim and others have put together.
Thank you. So with all the work that you're doing in the community to educate the general public too, can you say how many people you're actually helping teach in Houston or in the area?
Sure. So, I mean, we have stats that we publish in our reports and what have you. So I think in the past 7 months, we've done 31 events for those opportunity workshops. We've had over 1,200 individuals, that we've captured, attended a workshop at least once. They could have come back 5 times, but we counted unique head counts. And these were folks that, they're in the community and they're learning, and it could be small business owners, just from opportunity workshops. When we do our summits, typically we get 200, 300 small businesses to come out. We've had 3 of them in the past 18 months, I believe, which, 900 to 1,000. I mean, if you're looking for those numbers. We also have other programs that Kathy can talk about where they do extensive amount of matrix and stats, but all in a positive turn of helping that business grow through her program. So it's not the big number that I'm still looking for, but I always think about how many students the college has.
How many are they?
Over 100,000 a year. It is one of the largest community colleges in the country, also the most diverse, number 1 when it comes to giving out associate degrees to the diverse population, to the minority population. And it's ranked number 1 in many different instances, especially, I have the privilege of going out and talking about, HCC at conferences across the nation. And people look at us and say, wow, you guys are totally doing like amazing stuff. We don't even have those budgets. I don't know if you know, but HCC has a $500 million budget. I mean, that's that's how much it's happening. And over, I think if you counted the number of buildings, it's like 50 buildings somewhere. So there's a lot of stuff happening, and people don't know about it. And that becomes like, that's part of my fault, because we haven't done an awesome job of getting the word out. But I think I always look to that number is, man, I'm only at, like, I'm just touching the surface. We need more. And that's why we need folks like you to get the word out. And we want to talk about how we're supporting the tech community as well as the innovation community with, you know, some of these programs, but then also small business and also the coding partnership with Apple.
So speaking of helping the tech and innovation community, can you tell us a little bit more about the Goldman Sachs program?
Sure. The Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program was brought to Houston in 2011. We were the 4th city to be selected out of, and there's 14 sites throughout the nation, as well as an online program. So anybody in the nation that qualifies can apply. We've been very fortunate. This is one of the pieces under the Entrepreneurial Initiatives Department of Houston Community College. We focus a lot on helping businesses acquire the resources that they need to grow their business to the next level. Many times businesses will go through a phase and continue with all their startups, get everything going well. Everything is working well, but the owner, the true entrepreneur, is thinking, what's the next step? What's the next level to go to? And the program helps bring that back to a focus and a hands-on program that can allow a business owner to make that move and support them with the right resources. The program is grant-based through the Goldman Sachs Foundation to the Houston Community College Foundation. So those selected do not pay anything. What they do give, though, is a lot of time and effort. It's an intense program, so it is, we do expect a lot, I guess, out of it. We have 532 graduates throughout the city right now, and we see them in many, many ways. But we are so grateful that we can connect with places like Station Houston. We're all out to build the ecosystem, the small business ecosystem. We know that is the foundation for the economy. So the more we're involved in that and can support it, the better. So,
how can entrepreneurs and small business owners tap into this program?
We have a website, hccs.edu/10, as in the number, KSB. I'm happy to leave materials here, too, for everybody.
Thank you. And then, Doug, can you tell us, we were talking about how HCC is preparing Houston's workforce for the future. What does that future look like? Can you give us some insight?
Well, it looks incredible. It's changing so fast. Our world is changing so fast. We're running as hard as we can just to try to keep up. And everyone out there is affected by computers or is touched by computers in many, many ways, and many that you're not even aware of. And everything that you own or use in your life is hackable. Okay, that's the big thing right now, and cybersecurity is our big push. That's one of the things we're trying to do, not only educate our students, but educate the community as well. You know, if you're a small mom and pop business and you take credit cards and you get hacked and your customers' credit card data are stolen, right? It can cost you $1 million to $1.5 million to recover from that. And for many small businesses, that's it. That's the kiss of death. And yet, when we look at businesses and individuals and how they are protecting themselves, you know, they do things like have a password that is the word password, right? Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Because they've never been hit, so the assumption is they never will be. So we're trying to educate our community on ways to protect themselves. We were recently designated a CAE2Y, that stands for Center of Academic Excellence 2-year organization by the Department of Homeland Security and the National Security Agency. That means we meet the highest federal standards in terms of cybersecurity, not just in instruction, but in how we protect ourselves and how we protect our students and our faculty and our staff as well, how we protect students' data, how we protect our money, and all of that sort of thing, right? It took us about 18 months to get that designation. There are only 3 community colleges in the state that have it. Less than 1% of the colleges in the country have it. So it's called Center of Academic Excellence 2Y. If you just Google CAE2Y, it'll pop right up and you can see all the criteria for that. But what that gives us is access to federal grants. It gives our students access to federal jobs. That sometimes they will put specifically, right, we're only going to look at people who graduate from a CAE institution. Fortunately, we also have another CAE institution here in the city, and that's the University of Houston. So here we have a natural partnership, right? 2-year to 4-year, right? Both with the same accreditation from National Security Agency and Department of Homeland Security. There are 1.5 million jobs right now going begging in cybersecurity. We can't keep up. Our educational system can't keep up. I must read 2 or 3 articles a day that says the educational system is falling behind in protecting our nation. So this is something that we're ramping up, and it is the hot topic of the day. When Equifax gets hacked, right, you think, man, that's a big deal. It makes the news for a few days and then it's gone. But you never hear about all the other businesses that get hammered or the individuals that get hammered. You know, now the thieves can walk into a room and they've got something in their pocket that will steal the credit card financial data right off your cell phone without you ever even being aware of it. So these are things that we are aware of, and we're trying to educate our students to work in this new world, right? But also educate our community as well. Like Jim said and Robbie said, right? We bring our people in, we give them the best equipment possible. But we also try to expose them to real-world situations. We have a high school accreditation program through dual credit for cybersecurity at Eastside Academy. That's a very small Hispanic high school, right? Very, very poor people in that neighborhood, right? It's a struggling community, but the high school is brilliant. It's one of the gems out there. You know, we brought in an ethical hacker a couple of years ago, and that's not an oxymoron. You know, there is such a thing as an ethical hacker, okay, right? To test our faculty and to, you know, work with our faculty and show them all the ways that things could be broken into, and so that they would be up on it and could better teach our students. And I brought in 4 of those students from Eastside Academy and had them sit in with our faculty, and they held their own. They held their own, and these are high school kids. So that's a program that we're running in the high schools, right, to prepare the future generation. We also have, you know, and I don't want to go on too long about cybersecurity, right? It's just the big thing, right, the elephant in the room that everyone wants to ignore. But the other thing we're doing is, the big thing we're doing is our ICDS program. That's iOS, which is the Apple mobile operating system. If you have an iPhone or an iPad, right, you're using iOS. And so it's the iOS Coding and Design School. And this is a partnership that we have with Apple. Our chancellor sent an email to my boss, Dr. Barillo, and said he noticed that there was a coding school in Italy run by Apple. And he said, why can't we do this here? And she sent me a note saying, why can't we do this here? And so I contacted Apple, and from there it started rolling, and we got the ball rolling. We are teaching coding in the Swift language, which is the Apple language, right, for mobile operations, because the world that the students that we're teaching today are going to enter and work in is not going to be the world where there are desktop computers on rows in offices, right? It's going to be a mobile world. It's going to be a world where people carry all their data around in their pocket. And so we have to be prepared to provide people to work on those devices, to program those devices, right? So we're moving away from that old desktop model, that desktop application model, right, and into this, this new world of mobile computing and mobile programming.
Why do you think Apple was interested in partnering with HCC?
Well, first because we reached out to them and they hadn't thought of it. They were like, oh, we never thought about that, and that's one thing. The other thing is we do have an excellent reputation, and we are extremely large and extremely diverse, and Apple is very interested in reaching a diverse market and a diverse group of people. They have a women's advisory board, they have a minority advisory board, right? And they took a look at us and they did some research and they said, you know, you fit all the criteria that we want in a partner. And that's the reason why they decided that they wanted to work with us.
And so, in addition to cybersecurity and iOS development, are there any opportunities for Houston to capture a market or to be at the forefront of a developing technology? This is open to the entire panel.
Yeah, I would say yes, absolutely. GIS is a prime example. Geographic Information Science, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, right? But GIS pervades every element of our lives as well, right? That's mapping. But anything that can be mapped is GIS. And in the Houston market, it's huge. Houston is a hub for GIS. And so we have a very growing GIS program right now. Anything that can be mapped, and I'm not talking about just streets or pipelines or electric grids and things like that. Those things are part of GIS, but also demographic information, right? Where the rich people live, where the poor people live, right? Where are the disease pockets, right? You can map those, right? How do we map the demographics of a particular area so that we can find out what services are needed, right? This is all GIS, and the city of Houston in particular is building a very robust GIS group that's working with us.
Are there any other opportunities for Houston to lead?
Sorry?
Are there any other opportunities, including, in addition to GIS, cybersecurity, iOS development, where Houston can lead?
So my thoughts are on manufacturing, right? We're one of the first partners, as an education partner for the Maker Faire, and just last weekend, we had a really a good program at Georgia Brown with the Houston Maker Faire, and I think manufacturing, people don't realize it, but we have tremendous amount of resources for manufacturers, and Jim mentioned with the advanced manufacturing, there's a lot of things we can do that we don't have to go out to overseas for building prototypes. We could do it here much quicker, much faster. We have a lot of expertise from, like you mentioned earlier in the morning, we have Fortune 1000 in Houston. These people live here as well. This talent's here. And when they're creating new products or prototypes, we have resources. We have the $1 million equipment, as well as the $50,000, as well as the maker bots. We have all that in the classrooms. When we open them up to these folks who want to work with our students as either an adjunct faculty or come in as a volunteer for the hackathon and use this equipment to get rapid prototyping. So I do think that manufacturing and as a whole is something that could put Houston on the map beyond healthcare, IT, and their usual suspects, right? There's that component. I feel like we could do much better for the country. Because as being as large as we are and having all the space for factories and other things, we could really do that well from the southeast side of town. We just have to know about it and get our entrepreneurs to realize that there is a big maker space, a commercial maker space, and there are over 300 makers in town, that attended the Maker Faire. So I think that's, in my opinion, would be, that's another space that we could really drive some cool products and innovations from, is the make community.
I think I can flip this question in a way, because it really comes down to that we can partner and work with almost any field. We have a really interesting dynamic at Houston Community College where we are a large organization with a lot of resources, but we are also very agile. Okay, we offer realistically several types of degrees, but I'll go into the three major ones. We offer academic degrees and we offer workforce degrees, but we also teach continuing education degrees. And an example of this is that we were looking at and working with Doug on drone technology. Now, putting in a total curriculum for an academic subject, even in workforce, is going to take accreditation, it's going to take time, it's going to take building things. But working in CE, we can go from start to finish on a course or training or product development in a very short amount of time. So if we don't already have the technology or the classes or the structure for something that's needed, and the community comes to us and says, we need to know this, we need a training in this, the coding and design, okay? We started with that, Doug, when was that announced? April?
In May.
May? And our first class for that was in June?
In June?
Okay, so from May to June is how long it took for us to purchase equipment and have classes running.
Faculty teaching.
And faculty teaching it. This is, you can't go to any outside training resource and have that quick of a turnaround on something. Because we have the technology already in place, we have the infrastructure in place, and we have an overwhelming desire to make our community better. So if our community needs skills and they say we need this, we're going to go and find a way of doing that.
If I could just add just one brief thing about what you were saying there, Jim. There are commercial entities out there where you can go and you can learn the Swift language, right? And it's going to cost you between $3,000 and $5,000, all right? If you take our course, which is better, right, it's going to cost you $575. So we do it bigger, better, faster, all right?
And
cheaper.
and I'll even go with the agility, okay? Doug is pretty much a pioneer in a lot of this stuff. I mean, I'm not bragging on him because he's paid me this time. But in case in point, we're talking about the Apple Classroom. For not the CE one, which we got done in a month, but for the academic ones that we went from May to August, not only did he have the classes ready for curriculum, for actual degree granting programs, but he had gotten 200 MacBook Airs that we are letting students check out. So if a student comes in that's in that academic program learning how to do programming, they're able to, because they're part of that course, have the materials and the hardware to take home and work on that course. How much does one of those classes cost? $200? $250?
Yeah, if it's an academic program, it's about $250.
Yeah, so for $250, they're learning how to do Swift coding with hardware they get to take home. Now, I mean, they have to check back in at the end of the semester, but, but they have the resources they need to learn this.
Let me say something real quick and get my 2 cents in. A couple of quick thoughts. On the coding and this type of an example of classes that are offered by HCC, we deal with the small business owners. So our clientele or our customer, even though it's Houston Community College, is not the same as the student that's right out of high school and going to college. But what's so critically important and so very cool is that we can tell our business owners, you've got millennials working for you, you've got young people who would love to do coding, and here's access to do that. And like Jim was saying, that we can access through continuing ed or corporate college or other areas, so it's not just necessarily academia. But this is how Houston Community College really can offer a broad range of services, whether it's a student coming out of school, a business owner who wants to further their own education or the education of their employees, or working together on any scope in between. Going back to your other question, Grace, about what do we see coming into Houston? What are the new things? I don't know about new, but one thing that I see throughout the community is a constant belief and support of entrepreneurism and innovation. That there are a ton of resources out there. HCC is one, as well as Station Houston. But I think Houston can be that and is that hotbed of taking an idea, making it something, making a business of it, and bettering the community. I mean, that's the ultimate value for all of us, really. And I see that happening throughout Houston.
Thank you. I'm really glad you brought that up. Did you want to add something, Doug?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that, like, we've done polls of the students who are taking our coding courses. We ask them basic questions like, why do you want to be a coder? Why are you taking this class, right? And we're hearing that many of them work for a small business. And the business doesn't want to hire a full-time app developer, right? They want their business to have an app, right? Because that helps them sell goods or whatever it is that they're marketing, right? Right? But they don't want a full-time person. They want someone who's already on their staff who has the skills to do that for them in addition to whatever her other job is, right? So these are the people that we are attracting, the small business people who come to us, right? And you put the word out, right, in your program, and they come to us and take our courses to get the skills that they need, right? Of course, we do have those students who say, well, I just want to be a computer programmer. That's my life's dream, right? And we have a path for them as well, right? But more and more, we're seeing people who come to us, they just want the skills, they want it right now, they want it in time because they have a job and they have a task to do.
I really appreciate that, because when we talk about tech talent in Houston, it's usually coders, right? But there's also this idea of the business people who, or the entrepreneurs who have ideas. We also haven't talked about creative talent yet, and a lot of the technology needs content. I had the pleasure of touring the campus on the west side that has studios and sound stages, and there's this whole other aspect of HCC that I think a lot of people don't know of. A friend of mine, Alfred Cervantes, he's deputy director of the Houston Film Commission, and he hadn't even heard about it. So I told him, you need to go out there and start talking to HCC because of these resources. Can you talk to that?
We have tremendous resources in that. And Jimmy Adams is the Dean of Media Arts, which is based out of our West region, over by the West Houston Institute. And we have filmmaking, we have audio recording, we have degrees in all of these things. We have a digital communications program that teaches web design, photography, 3D animation, special effects. Pretty much any creative skill that you're looking for, we have talent for it. And going back to that, we have students that are dying for portfolio work. They are literally looking for portfolio projects every day. And good people. I'm biased because that's where I came from before I moved into the tech side of things. Is I was actually on the film and video side, but really tremendous talent that are looking for ways to get into the industry, looking for ways of building up their portfolio, looking for ways of working with y'all, because realistically, what they need guided projects. The most creative people are sometimes really hard at coming up with that initial idea of, well, what am I doing here? But once you give them that ball rolling of, I need a website that does this, or I need a video that does this, they will make things that are amazing. And we have, even go so far when we start talking about technology, and then this gets into the kind of a little bit of esoteric things, but Houston Community College for their students has a full Red camera system, a Red 1 camera system. This is $85,000 of, it shoots 4K. This is the same camera that they're using to shoot the Avengers and movies. We have, an entire lens package for that. The resources that are available are amazing. There are things that the average person that's working in the industry doesn't have an access to, but we have them for our students.
If I may add an example of a partnership that we've done with the film production program. We've got a nonprofit called Foundation for India Studies. All right, it's a nonprofit that wants to really capture stories about Indian Americans that have contributed to the city's success, past 40 years. So we go out and the foundation chairman comes out and talks with the dean and says, hey, I have a need. I have a need of capturing these videos, these oral histories from the community. And what can we do about it? And from there, they talk to the president, and before you know it, there's an MOU signed, a memorandum of understanding between a nonprofit and the school. And then the MOU really just says that, hey, we're going to allow students to work on this as a co-op class, meaning for them to get their full experience from the classroom, that they will be working part-time on to help this nonprofit work on this XYZ project. And here's the studio space that we'll make available to you. We've got the green room, etc. And you can come in and record videos. And I think we've got like 50 videos or so recorded in the past 4 years. And I happen to know about it just because I'm also on the board of Foundation for India Studies. My point here is that's an example of a partnership that you guys could also bring to the college. You have a project that you need help with, or you need access to resources or students. Well, come out and talk to our faculty or our deans and directors and say, this is what we want to do. And more than, half the time, you're going to get a good answer that's going to lead you forward. And if it's not illegal, it's going to be okay. It's probably just got to find the right connection in the group. It's a large school, right? You're not going to get but I think our new transformation has given us this culture of how can we help you. In fact, I think more and more I hear people saying, what's your story and how can I help? And my big motto is for the students about let's build awareness and let's inspire action, because it's, let's not just sit around. We've got to feel good about what we're doing, learn something, and then implement it, right? So I think that's an example of a partnership that's one out of many.
So if entrepreneurs or startups want to tap into the talent that's at HCC, how would they go about doing that? You said talk to faculty, but is there a specific route, I guess?
Me personally, what I would like to make an ask for would be, you've got really smart, talented people. You've got at Station, for example, and your membership, and then Greater Houston Partnership, and the new Houston Exponential. You bring that talent. Say I want to be a speaker at one of our events. Let us organize an event around it and let the community come, let the students come and learn from you. That's one thing you can do. Because I think together we really could make a difference, right? If one person's the smart person in the room and the others aren't learning, we're not really doing justice to our community. We really got to spread the knowledge. And I think as an education partner, we really want to do that. So my ask would be, come out to our events. Be panel speakers at our events. Be the keynotes at our event if you wanted to. Or co-sponsor events with us. And let's make stuff happen. If it's not something we're not offering, help us offer that, so we could help educate the community.
I'm going to add one last
Go
thing
ahead.
on here. She asked how to contact, so call him. We'll make sure. No, but any of us in the Entrepreneurial Initiatives Department are happy to answer questions. We'll make sure to have all our contact information available. But you can always go to hccs.edu, and at the top, look in the search bar and search for what you're looking for, and that will also help.
Recently, over the last few years, we've been going through a transformation. We used to be organized in colleges, where everything was kind of centered in a group, and it was very locally centered, and that's a good way of doing things. But we're too large for that anymore. So what we've done is we've actually moved to what are called centers of excellence. And so there's centers of excellence for all the workforce skills that are our primary workforce skills, and even some that aren't. Doug is the dean of a center of excellence for digital information technology. There's a center of excellence for media arts. There's a center of excellence for consumer arts, which includes fashion, interior design, cosmetology, cooking, the cooking school, culinary. And so all of the workforce skills that we have are hubbed under these centers of excellence, and those are all listed on the website. So if there's a specific need, one of the things that you probably would want to do is find the vertical that's part of that center of excellence and contact the dean for that center of excellence. They're going to be the spokesperson, the chairman for that area, and they'll be able to get you in touch with the people that you need to get in touch with.
Right. All of our workforce programs, by state law, right, have to have an industry advisory board, right? If you really want to help, right, and help yourself at the same time, whatever your business is, whatever your specialty is, call that center of excellence and offer to be on an advisory board. We can't build good programs if we don't know what you need. And so our advisory boards tell us what we need to teach. They look at what we are teaching and they say, oh man, that died 5 years ago. Why are you still doing that? We don't necessarily know all of these things unless we hear them from businesses out there and from industry. We try to keep the highest industry standards, but that also means we need to know if we're doing it right. We need you to tell us, look at our curriculum, look at our students, do some data and research with us, right? And let's see if we can get it better, we think we're doing it well, but we could always do better. The other thing that's going to start here, we hope in the spring, is our new West Houston Institute, which is not open yet, but it's getting ready to be open. And part of its ethos, I guess you would say, is working with businesses and working with communities and with governmental bodies, right, to solve problems. And so the idea is if you have a problem that you're wrestling with and you just can't figure out how to solve it, you can come to the West Houston Institute and you will be assigned a fellow and a team to work on your problem, right? To help you find that solution that's going to click for you, right? And then, you know, once that solution is developed, right, and you test it yourself, right, because you brought it to us and you find out that it works, or we tweak it until it does work, then we can incorporate that into our curriculum, right, and continue to teach the things that we've learned from you, right, to our students, so that when that problem crops up for them in the workforce, they're going to already know how to fix it.
I love the idea of experiential learning. So before we open this up to a Q&A from the audience, is there any last thing that you'd like to add?
Go Astros? No, you know, let us know, right? Just communicate with us. Go to the website, right? Ask questions, become active. We're active in your community. We would like you to be active in our community.
Okay, any questions from the audience? Yes.
First, thank you so much. This was a very incredible panel, very spirited. It's amazing and inspiring to hear about all the resources and the activity at HCC. I work with students in the audio realm, and we work as creative audio agencies. So they go through a program, they're high school kids and middle school kids. And one of the things that I've been missing in my programming is looking at ways to connect with those kids on the next step. So if they're going from high school and they're looking to get into things like media arts and to rapidly get in and get the experience that they need, knowing the places to send them and being able to take them to the campus and show them what is available would be really valuable. So,
All you have to do is ask, and you got it.
I can give you the guy's name right now. Jimmy Adams, Jimmy Adams. He is the Dean of Media Arts, which includes audio recording. He would love to talk to you because, you know, this creates pathways. Your students learn from you, and as they move forward, if they want to go into you know, and get their associates in this, they're his future students. He would love to work with you on this.
And then another, and you know, I mentioned earlier the Inventathon, right? It's a student hackathon that's open for all middle school and high school students. It's one of those programs where you could experiment with tools and faculty and mentors around you. And we've learned that, you know, from that program, parents realize that they can send their high school or, you know, GT student or their AP student into HCC's programs and have an associate degree for free before they complete their high school diploma. That's a dual credit program. It's completely offered for free, as tuition is free. And you know, HCC's, we do have a very strong dual credit program. So that's just one event that I mentioned, but the dual credit office would be where you can learn more about you know, which colleges, which high schools have college faculty teaching, you know, English or other classes, and those classes transfer to U of H and Rice and everywhere else. They're the core classes. So if you've got, you know, these talented students, we would like to save them money, and we would like to save them time, so that they can go achieve something faster, like whatever their dreams are, they can achieve it faster. And Inventathon is one of those events where, you know, they can learn a lot quickly. They could make new friends and so forth. And you know, Dr. Adams, we're right across that campus where he's housed. so the HCC Alief Hayes campus, what Jim's referring to. So we'd love to have you out there if you want. Happy to share my information, and I'll take you to him. And that would be the, the connection that you need. Mhm.
Yeah, and you want to talk to Dr. Catherine O'Brien, all right, for dual credit. And one of the things that I would like to see that you might talk to her about and talk to Ravi about as well is, why don't we have a music festival? Why not, right? Let's do some cool stuff, okay?
Awesome. All for cool stuff. Yes, JR.
We have centers for entrepreneurship at Houston Community College, and we focus a lot on startups and want to be able to provide the resources. So there's one at the Southeast campus and one at the Northwest campus. I know Sandra's here and can help people connect on that. Any kind of interaction to me is helpful in building that ecosystem that we're all supporting. And if there are resources that we can provide, we want to do that. Ravi touched on a little bit that there are things that the middle school and high schoolers can get into at no cost, the dual credit. But there's also things at all levels that are little or minimal cost, especially for small businesses that are in startup mode. Your funds are very focused on building that business. The Goldman Sachs program, for one, is free for people to come in. Also, through corporate college, we have the ability to draw down Texas Workforce Commission funds. For your employees, we can develop a custom course for what you need and get the funding to pay for it. At your location. You can't ask for a better resource than that.
Did that make sense? If you have less than 99 employees,
Yes.
there's a state grant which allows us up to $2,000 of training funds for each
Per
one of
person.
for each one of your employees. So if you wanted your employees to be better at social media, you've got a 5-person team, your established business, you can come to the corporate college and request for training for those 4 or 5 students, what have you, on at your location, and the state will pay as a grant for educating those employees.
And we're nimble. We will develop the program to make sure it
That's
fits
another
what
free
you
opportunity.
need. Yeah.
That is the best deal going anywhere.
Yes.
For any small business. And
Who would people?
How do we learn? We'd love to, at the Whisper Station, we'd love to be able to share that with our community and make that available to all of them.
We'll make sure to get that information to you, absolutely. But it's corporate college. Jennifer Holmes is the contact person for that particular thing. But absolutely, we'd love that type of give and take. You bet.
Thank you. We have time for one last question. Anyone?
Ravi, what are the 5 things you're working on right now that we should know about? I love it. Ravi's one of my favorite people. So what are the things we should know about?
So my big goal is building a model for community college across the nation that could easily can be duplicated. So I think about THI and what THI is doing about trying to educate the small business as well as the entrepreneur in the tech scene. I think about what you guys are doing with Houston Exponential and Station Houston. I think you have to learn that we need to integrate all community members. And in order for this ecosystem to really work, you got to get the higher eds involved, and you got to get the colleges involved, and then there'll be a time when we'll have to get the high school involved much early on, and then we'll go after the elementary schools, because my goal, personal goal, would be, I mentioned earlier about building awareness and inspiring action. I've got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. I'm talking about that type of education at elementary school happening. We're not in that, math 8 to 10 or English, 12 to 2 anymore. Project-based learning is definitely here to stay, and it's definitely a better way. So some of the projects I'm working on definitely are around this space. So I Educate, USA.org is a project where we hire college students to go and co-teach math and science in elementary schools. I'd love for you guys to support that any way possible. Come out on career days. We're 250 students that are paid $15 an hour to teach or volunteer at 18 schools, and it's making an impact. We see the math and science scores really increase. Houston Community College, when we do these hackathons, please come out. I need a lot of volunteers and mentors. As long as you don't have a criminal record, we will take you and let you sit and work with students, right? And help them like really think about that future. And I'll stop here, but I really need the support, not just me. Everybody needs each other's support. So I think you just got to ask, what's your story and how can I help? So if we just end with that, I'll do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Houston Community College, for joining us here at the Houston Innovation Summit at Station Houston.